What's up guys, it's McKeown back again with another video this week. So VA loans are going to be the topic today. It's something that is discussed widely on my channel, and the reason is because as myself being a veteran, I've purchased a duplex with my VA loan, I've purchased a fourplex with my VA loan, and when I often tell people my story, they often question how were you able to have a duplex and a quadplex at the same time with two separate VA loans? Well, to be honest with you, back in 2017, the current rule with VA loans was not in place. Now, the current rule with VA loans is you do not have a limit, and that's assuming that you haven't used your VA loan and you have your entire entitlement. I'll go into what entitlement means here in just a second, but let's say you're looking to purchase a property just as a primary owner occupant home, something that you want to have for your family. You're not limited to the conventional loan limit standards, which used to be the case. So let's just use Dallas as example. If you wanted to purchase an $800,000 or $900,000 house with your VA loan, and you didn't use a VA loan, or you didn't have a VA loan out, or you even had a VA loan out, but you're going to sell it to upgrade to a $900,000 house, unfortunately, back in 2017, 2018, you couldn't fully do that because there was a limit to a conventional loan limit standard at that time. Now that has changed, so now you can actually purchase that $800,000, that $900,000 house, assuming that you can qualify with a 0% down. Now, conventional loan limits run standard with VA loan limits, meaning they run hand in hand. So prior to that new rule stating that you could have really any amount with your VA loan, you used to only be able to go to a certain amount. It was capped in different areas of the country. In Dallas back then, it was probably $480 to $520. Anything over that, even if you hadn't used your VA loan before, you had to pay 20% down on any overage. Well, good thing now is the fact that they've updated it and they allow you to purchase any house utilizing your VA loan at any price, assuming that you can qualify for it, and utilize your true 0% down. So you're not gonna have to come up with 20% overage of 100K or 20% down of 200K because you're limited at 480 or 520 or 550. So to come back to 2017, I purchased my duplex. It was $285,000 at the time. Again, at that time, we were limited to anywhere between 480 to 520, so I didn't go over my loan limit, so I was able to purchase my first property, a multifamily, a duplex, with no problem whatsoever. Now, the thing is, fast forward to 2019. 2019 is actually when I purchased my fourplex, and that's when the new rule came about in terms of having truly no limit when it came to your loan limit for VA loans. Unfortunately, there's a caveat here. There's no loan limit, again, if you have never used your VA loan, meaning you don't have any usage out, or in this case, let's say I had usage out for $285,000 on my duplex, I would have no loan limit if I got rid of that VA loan and purchased the next VA loan. Well, I didn't want to get rid of my duplex, so I still had an entitlement out for $285,000. So that old rule comes into effect when you have more than one VA loan out. So that duplex was $285,000. My fourplex was a little over $300,000. If you combine the two, I unfortunately went over the loan limit and actually had to pay 20% down of any of the overage that I had. Now, last week, I actually met with a Marine Corps veteran. I'm gonna be helping him buy a single family house, and this is something that we discussed thoroughly. Now, the property that he wants to buy is gonna be probably in the $300,000 range. Now, conventional loan limits have gone up substantially because the cost of living, as well as the housing cost here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, have also gone up. So your conventional loan limit is no longer in the 480 to 520. We're actually north of 600,000. So, for instance, if he wants to purchase a single family house or a duplex or a quadplex or maybe even a triplex, which there aren't a ton here, he has a total loan limit, if he wants to use his VA loan multiple times, currently around $620,000. So if he goes and buys a single family house for $300,000, let's say 2 years down the road, annually those conventional loan limits will increase. So currently speaking, if he purchased something for $300,000 this year, he still has $320,000 left. With those increasing, let's give it a conservative $650,000 to $700,000 range, assuming that he buys not in 2022 or 2023, but 2024. You're likely gonna be in that $650,000 to $700,000 range, giving him a total entitlement left of $350,000-ish to use for the next VA loan. Now, to give you another example that we actually went over. So yes, personally, I've used my VA loan twice. Now I've sold my fourplex, still have my duplex. I'm selling the fourplex to buy a commercial property. But let's say I wanted to go buy another house with my VA loan. I would be stuck with the conventional loan limit standards because I still have my VA loan out with my duplex. Now, me personally, what I'm likely going to do is sell the duplex eventually and then do some sort of large new construction build with maybe a dwelling or an Airbnb completely separate, similar to what I did in my primary residence right now, but what I did with my primary residence was a conventional loan. So another example would be, let's say you moved to Arizona. You were able to find a house in these cheaper markets, maybe Ohio or Indiana, maybe Pittsburgh, other areas that are not necessarily as expensive as these large markets. You were able to find a house for $150,000. Let's say the entitlement was $600 in that market, which is likely high because in the Dallas market it's at $620, but let's just use that as an example. So the first VA loan you used for $150, in a year or two you decided to upgrade to a nicer house for $200,000. You could still use your VA loan a second time as long as the underwriter approves you. I will tell you, if you try to buy a second home within a year, you're likely going to get denied. Now, it's always going to be up to the underwriter, but you have to have a valid reason to be going from one primary residence in the same city and area to another primary residence. Now, caveat, if you did live in one of these small areas and you decided to move to another state, then yes, that would be a valid reason for work to be utilizing a VA loan quickly for the second time. So to go back to that example, let's say you purchased a property for $150, you upgraded for the second time with a conventional loan limit of $600,000, you purchased a second property for $200,000. Now you have two VA loans, one for $150, one for $200. Total would be $350 for your entitlement, but you still have an additional $250 left within that $600,000 limit. Now, let's say you wanted to keep property one because it was cash flowing great. You still wanted to keep property two, and you've lived there for about 2 years, and you're sitting here thinking, well, the loan limits have gone up a little bit, but it's still gone up and down. It's sitting at $600,000. I've got about $250, but the house that I really want isn't $250, it's $350 now. So now you can technically go buy that house. You're gonna go over your loan limit of $600,000 by $100,000 cash, but that doesn't mean you have to bring that $100,000 to closing. You only have to bring 20% of the overage. So you went over $100,000, you've got to bring $20,000 to closing. It's not too bad. Now I will tell you a secret that is tremendous when it comes to holding properties that you used your VA loan for. And the reason is because VA loans will always be one of the loans that you can get the lowest interest rate on. To give you an example, I got my first VA loan, I think at 3% back in 2017, maybe 3.25. At the time, that was actually a great rate. I think I may have actually taken a little bit more at closing to bring the interest rate up, but that's my duplex. My duplex is now sitting at 2.25. How did it go for 3.25 to 2.25, and I only lived there for 5 months. And this is the secret, guys, the VA interest rate reduction loan. What I mean by that is I lived there for only 5 months. I didn't refinance while I lived there. I wound up moving to a single family, lived there for 2 years, went and bought my fourplex, got a, I believe, 3% interest rate on my fourplex. So I had a 3.25, a 3%, not bad when it comes to primary occupied homes. Well, interest rates went down substantially. So I was able to do a VA IRL, which is a VA interest rate reduction loan. Didn't have to live there. It was actually rented out, both my duplex and my quad, and I was able to bring a 3.25 down to 2.25 and a 3% down to 2.25. So really, my duplex, it makes it kind of hard to sell because it's at such a low interest rate. So let's go back to that example that I just gave you guys. $150,000 house, you got a good interest rate on that because you used your VA loan, you occupied, you decided to move out in a year or two, maybe to another state, maybe to another part of the state, or maybe you just learned that you needed a bigger house. You moved to a bigger house, had a valid reason from the underwriter to be able to move from one side of the city to the other. So now you have that $150,000 house, VA loan, that $200,000 house, VA loan. Again, anytime you use your VA loan, you're gonna get one of the best interest rates. Then a couple years go by again, maybe you're still in the same market and you purchased that $350,000 house. Unfortunately, you went over the loan limit, had to bring $20,000 to closing, but now you've got two single family rentals that you can truly refinance at any time if the interest rates go down. And on top of that, you're living in your primary house with no PMI and little money down. So let's use that example once again. Let's say you've got at least 10% disability. That means your funding fee is waived. That means less closing costs. Let's say maybe you're a realtor and you get paid commission on the back end. You get paid 2 to 3%, okay? You've got to cover closing costs, which can potentially range, between 2 and 3% at the high end. You're basically buying every single property that you purchase with your VA loan for little to basically nothing. So in that example, you're purchasing a $150,000 house. You get paid your commission on the back end. You purchase that $150,000 house, again, funding fee waived, and the 2 to 3% commission on the back end covers your closing costs. And then you purchase that third house with your VA loan, again, $250,000, maybe $300,000 house. You're gonna have to put a little bit down if you do go over, but then you've acquired 3 single family houses with basically $20,000 down total. Now on the flip side, let's say you were just a straight outright investor. If you were gonna go purchase $600,000, which is about the total loan value for those 3 properties, let's say you were gonna go purchase an investment property for $600,000. Do the math, 20% down on $600,000. Actually, I have to do the math, so. That's right, $120,000 down that you have to put on that one investment property. That means one investment property appreciating, one investment property cash flowing, or you could be a veteran and own 3 properties and put little to nothing down, maybe a total of $20,000 in that exact scenario. So once again, guys, hopefully that clears up a lot of the confusion. I get asked, I feel like almost every single week with a lot of the people that reach out to me on YouTube, a lot of people that reach out to me in my local market in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We have a ton of veterans, and I help, I think, anywhere from 20 to 30 veterans myself annually purchase an investment property or utilize their VA loan, maybe for a house hack or for their family. But again, do not get confused. You can have multiple VA loans. There's going to be a limit though when you do have multiple VA loans, and every state's loan limit is going to be different. So make sure you get connected with a great agent and a great lender that's going to be able to help you along the way, especially if you want to do something similar to what I've done, where you've utilized your VA loan multiple times. Thanks again for watching, guys. If you're looking to get connected with a great real estate agent or lender, preferably probably a mortgage broker in your local market, I'm actually headed to Vegas for a large real estate convention as soon as this video ends, and I'm connected across the country in just about every single market that I can connect you with a great agent and mortgage broker in your market. Now, if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to be the one that's able to help you do something similar that I was able to do, especially if you're local. I'm gonna go ahead and leave my Instagram, my personal and business, in the description below, as well as my email address. Feel free to follow me on Instagram or reach out to me via email. I'd love to help you. Also, if you have any questions just about VA loans at all, leave them down in the comment section below and I'll make sure to get back to you. Once again, guys, I appreciate all the support. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help, and stay tuned for the next video.